Press Here is sponsored in part by Barracuda Networks, cloud-connected security and storage solutions that simplify IT. City National Bank, providing loans and lines of credit to help Northern California businesses grow.
16 seconds. Adam is trying. Yes!
This week, we delve into the economics of the half-court contest and find out why one of the world's greatest card players hopes you miss. Plus, holiday security scams even smart people fall for, and Inside Sales CEO Dave Elkington predicts the fate of the unicorn. With reporters Laura Mandero of USA Today and Mike Cray of Investors Business Daily, this week on Press Here. Good morning, everyone. I'm Scott McGrew. My first guest this morning is a fella named Bob Hammond. Now, Bob is, no kidding, one of the best bridge players in the world, but that's not why he's here. Bob has also made more money off half-court basketball contests than anyone in the world. Now, I know you're wondering, how does a 77-year-old man hold that record? And I am going to explain that to you. But first, let's take a look at one of those contests.
One shot, one car, a BMW i3. Let's hear it. Come on for Jason. Here it is. One shot. Brand new Beamer. Does he get it? Yes! Oh, yes! Yes! He gets a BMW i3. Jason from San Jose. Hold on.
These are just the sorts of things that make everybody but Bob Hammond stand up and cheer, because these types of contests, it's Bob and his company SCA Promotions which pays for the car or the free pizza, or in one case, $1 million worth of furniture. Bob Hammond is CEO of SCA Promotions, joined by Mike Cray, apologies, of Investors Business Daily, and Laura Mandaro of USA Today. So you're the guy who pays for the car when the kid sinks the basket.
Sometimes it's not a kid.
How often do you lose? That everyone else, when somebody wins, how often do you lose?
Oh, several hundred times a year.
Really? Oh. Okay, that means obviously that you're winning, that somebody's failing to sink the basket. And let me point it out, it can be the putt or the rubber duck contest. You do all these things, right?
We do them all.
It's phenomenal. How many times are you, what's a profit? I mean, how many guys have to miss a basket in order for you to make money when you do have to pay out that basket?
Oh, it depends on the shot, but it could be as many as 100 that have to miss.
And those odds are in your favor, I'm guessing.
Well, we hope so.
So
going forward, it's always difficult to tell.
When we're all looking at this fun stuff, everybody's cheering, they're all happy. If there was a camera on you at that point, would it be the exact opposite?
It's
Are you
the
crying?
chronicle of depression.
Or is it just the loss leader for you? Are you maybe you're happy, then there'll be more.
The losses, we really can't make up for them on volume.
What's the worst paying or the worst sort of decision you've made, saying, you know, there's no way that guy is going to hit that golf putt, you know, whatever?
Well, we don't know specifically who's going to be shooting at us.
Yeah.
The worst examples would be something like a Triple Crown bonus, where we're in the business of rooting against some horse that happens to have won both the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness.
Well, why would you take that bet in the first place, though?
Well, that's a question for my psychiatrist. But,
So there are situations in which have you ever looked back and said to yourself, I wish we hadn't done that one?
Well, my general rule on this is forget about the past. You can't change it. You can learn from it.
That's a fair answer.
Well, the one I was surprised about, and I just read when I was reading about you, was Serena Williams. She won the first two of the four, and then you bet against her. And I'm thinking, that's a pretty risky bet.
It was probably a very marginal deal.
That was a close one.
And we got lucky. Serena got unlucky.
She really did.
That
so
does
close.
have a tendency to happen. But usually, our best contests are things that look easy, but in fact are difficult to accomplish.
Give me an example of that.
Well, the Triple Crown, for example.
Yeah.
You have a 3-year-old horse, and winning 3 races in 5 weeks is quite challenging. The Belmont is a longer course. They usually attract some good European horses, are used to running long distances, and in practice it's tougher than it appears, except when something like American Pharoah comes along and it becomes a walk in the park.
What's the appetite for this? I mean, are they trying to get different kind of watchers to get engaged? And
well, the problem with the world in general, or one of the problems of the world in general, is it's very tough to get attention to any message.
And this is why wasn't there a Pizza Hut if the mere satellite hits a target in the ocean, you were on the hook for pizza for all of America or something?
Well,
Can't remember exactly what
it actually was Taco Bell.
Taco Bell.
And
yes.
it was the Mir space
and
station.
And we're still talking about it today. And this was, 20 years ago?
Yeah. A long time ago.
Yes,
and it was a platform in the Pacific, and we judged it fairly unlikely that the...
I would think it's fairly unlikely.
It was,
and the beauty for Taco Bell is how much would something like that cost if I'm Taco Bell?
Well, it cost a very low percentage.
Okay, a couple $100,000?
Yeah, not even that.
Okay, whatever it is, for me at Taco Bell, I can announce this contest that says everybody in America, or whatever it happened to be, gets a taco with almost no downside, because you're going to cover it if it happens, and it's not going to happen anyway.
Well, usually it doesn't happen.
You had to give away $1 million worth of furniture once, right?
Oh, we've done it on numerous occasions.
But now this is stuff, but you're using software to really compute the odds of these
well,
things, right?
Sometimes
you're just not going willy-nilly on this stuff.
He is going willy-nilly. No, he is, Mike. He is going willy-nilly. Tell him.
We do a lot of guessing.
You do, and which is astounding, because that means you are calculating this thing in your head largely, right? I mean, you're educated guess, right?
Well, we do more computation than you might. We use analogy. We try to estimate things fairly intelligently, but quite often it's a question of being able to make a decision.
Is it something that you can demonstrate to me? Okay, I want to give away $100,000 if someone with a blindfold putts from 20 feet.
Well, it'd probably be likelier than you might think. That would be a bad contest for us.
Okay, so I'd have to pay a lot to you for you to ensure that one.
Not a lot, but more than you might think you'd have to.
I think the obvious question is, why aren't you playing poker? You're the best bridge player in the world, right? Or one of them, right?
Well, I
yes,
have been
yes, you are. I've
rated
looked it
at
up.
one
You're one of the
time or
best.
another.
You're one of the best bridge players in the world, and you have this incredible understanding of how odds work, and you obviously have an appetite for risk. You'd make a great poker player, wouldn't you?
Well, the deal is, if you sit down at a table and you look around, you don't see any pigeons, you're it. And I found I might have been in that position.
Are you somewhere between a math genius and a bookie? Is that where you kind of right in the middle there?
Let's put it this way. My career at UCLA would not suggest that I'm any sort of a math genius.
What is your take on sort of the gambling and sports thing, daily fantasy sports? You think it's gambling? You think it's skill?
Well, it's very definitely a game of skill.
Yeah. So it should continue to flourish. You think this is that the regulators are wrong?
Skill games, usually anything like picking football games or fantasy sports, in reality, there's a lot of skill that goes into it.
If it weren't a skill game, you don't do fantasy sports, but you wouldn't be in this business if this weren't skill and it were all luck, because this is skill that has got you where you are today.
My skill, that's a questionable matter, but
you're making a profit. You have a skill.
We have a skill at estimating things, or luck. You can't ever tell, but if it's purely computational, it's probably skill. If we're taking guesses, for instance, many years ago, we took a risk against Nolan Ryan pitching a no-hitter. And it seemed every other night we were going into the 7th inning.
But that's exactly the case for gambling, right? When it's not a case of skill, when it's luck or chance.
The chance is, do you estimate correctly?
Bob,
So-
is there ever, I want to ask one last question, and that is there, have you ever said, no, we're not going to let that guy compete? I mean, are there ringers in your business?
There are ringers in every business.
And you know who they are?
Well, normally we exclude professional players or people who have
Fair enough.
competed in the sport in recent times.
Let me circle back with just a couple seconds left. The one, was it the Nolan Ryan? What was the one where you said, we should never have done that?
Well, that would have been Lance Armstrong, but we won't go into that one.
There was quite the lawsuit, and as I recall, you won in the end, did you
Well,
not?
sort of.
Sort of. Well, that's not bad. Bob Hammond is runs one of the most interesting businesses I think I've ever heard of, SCA Promotions out of Dallas, Texas. Thanks for being with us.
Well, thank you.
Well, we here in Silicon Valley tend to roll our eyes at security warnings like change your password, but even smart people can get scammed. What will you fall for when Press Here continues?